So today we're reviewing Living Runes. So let's get on with the show, shall we? Hello my little wonderbugs. Welcome to my channel where we talk about witchcraft, divination, and lifestyle. So like I was saying, we're going to be reviewing Living Runes. And yeah, this is going to be an interesting review for me because I'm going to be saying things of the pros and the cons that I've never said about books. But this one's definitely one of them that I'm going to have to say certain things about. Not bad things, I promise. Good things. Creative, productive things. And the author is Galina, I think. Galina Krosakovia? I could be wrong. I'm not really good with names here. I've been wanting to read some of her books. There's one that I really want to read, which is actually called, Norse Traditions for a Soul Practitioner. I think that's what it's called. And I've been wanting to read that book, but I was actually sent this book to read and review. So let's get on with it, shall we? So first things first, I want to start off with the cons and then we'll go into the pros. First con, I would say, is that I'm not a fan of her wording. And what I mean by that is that at times she used words that, yes, described exactly what she was saying, but I would have to look up in the dictionary to see what the heck it meant. So she would use very not commonly used words for certain things. And then instead of using similar words that are very commonly used in the English language, she, I guess, forgoed it. I don't know why. So sometimes as I was reading, I had to, I guess you could say, slow my pace because I had to stop and then look up in the dictionary what she was like, what this word meant. And 99.9% of the time I knew what the word meant, but I wasn't sure because I had never heard it before. Or I was like, well, I know it probably means this. I just don't know why she didn't use just this word, which is the common word for that. I don't know why she had to use this word, which was fancy and overly underused in the English language. But, no, everybody writes differently, everybody speaks differently. So now, con number 2 that I can think of right off the top of my head is there are parts in the book that if you're not you'd say an experienced rune reader or someone who has a lot of experience with runes, it can be a little bit off-putting and or I guess the word that I'm looking for is intense. And what I mean by that is that at times she over-exaggerates certain aspects of the runes that would make it seem like if the runes are a negative thing to work with or just like really bad mojo that you don't want to touch. And myself, with my experience of my runes and how I've worked with them, I know that they can be very, not moody, but they're very straightforward. They don't mince their words when they want to communicate. And they can be very demanding on a person sometimes. But not to the extreme, at least in my experience, that I've had with the runes, to the way that she explains that experience that she had with the runes. So if you're not familiar with how to work with them or have had like some very minor experience, this book will definitely kind of creep you out. Especially on chapter 2, first page, I was like, not sure that that's like my experience with the runes, but yeah, like I understand what you're saying. I just think that maybe you're just taking it a little bit far in my experience. That's just me. But yeah, now for the pros. Now, here's the thing. I've read a bunch of books, and 99.9% of the time, it's basically regurgitated information about each rune. It's maybe worded differently, but it's pretty much the same. you know, like Lagos is always going to be Lagos, you know, like it's not going to change. So when she wrote about the individual runes was for me fascinating because it is more of an intimate relationship, an intimate understanding. And she does have this thing that, which she's not wrong, that she talks about the runes being alive, actually having consciousness of sorts. And I mean, she's not, like I said, she's not lying. She's definitely right about that. But her relationship is so intense that when she does describe each rune or gives like her own personal opinion, she literally says, hey, this is like my personal opinion with each and every rune, and this is how I interpret them because this is how they've communicated with me. So that was very wonderful because it was like a refreshing aspect of each rune, even though, I mean, she doesn't go so far into like, you know, like saying that one rune is completely different than what it traditionally is, but it's like a more in-depth. It's like getting to know a person deeper than you would if you just knew them online, you know? It's like a deeper connection. So it gives you like this sort of eye-opening sort of sensation. It's just mind-blowingly awesome. That part is great. Another pro that I really like is that she does include a ritual for you to connect with the runes. Now, the ritual does involve giving your runes an offering of blood, but again, it's definitely something that I've done in the past and that I feel comfortable doing. So I didn't feel uncomfortable. And I love the fact that she wasn't afraid to mention that. She didn't have that sort of like, oh no, let's not do that. That's, you know, you don't have to. It's like, no, she's like, no, yeah, they're going to ask you for it. And she does have in the ritual that you have to give an offering to Odin, which I'm not like a very big person for Odin or anything. I don't really like do work with him, but that's the beauty of it, the ritual, that she actually incorporates the whole thing of like, look, give him an offering to help you with the runes, but also give an offering to your patron god or goddess that you may work with at the same time. So then there's no issue, nobody gets a little bit offended, everybody's all good and dandy, which is totally like what I would have loved to hear. Like when I was reading it, I was like, oh God, no, Freya's gonna get so pissed off. Great. And then she's like, no, give something to your god as well. So then there's no, you know, there's no like issue or anything in that nature. Another thing that I like is that she goes into Golder, divination, and also magic using the runes. But she doesn't go into like, you know, 5 different chapters or something like that about Golder magic or anything like that. She was just very to the point, and she explained what Golder really is. And she really goes into the explanation of what it is, not necessarily how to conduct it in the sense, like she doesn't give you like a ritual or anything like that, but she gives you an idea of like the reality of what it is, of what you're really doing. So the last 3 chapters are all Golder, divination, and magic. Certain examples of divination, and I guess you could call them spreads, but not really. You would call that in tarot spreads, but not really in runes. But she gives you like ideas of how to put them in a certain way and things that work for her. And again, this is all very like, not chaotic, but it's very intuitive because of her connection with the runes. So it's most of this book, I will admit, most of this book is her experience, not something that she read in a book necessarily speaking, not anything that she studied. This is like her going on spiritual journeys and what she was taught by the gods, and by the runes, not necessarily like somebody who, you know, that she sat in a class and they just talked about what you're supposed to do, you know, put this here, put that there, kind of a thing. And that's another thing that I really like about her books, is that she really goes into, look, this is my experience, this is what I've gone through, you know, like I'm telling you this because I know it to be fact, because I've gone through it and it's real, you know. And that's what I like about it. It's very raw, it's very real, it's not sugar-coated to make you feel better or anything like that. She doesn't mince her words. just like the runes, and she doesn't, it's just awesome. I think the book is really well written in that sense, that she's just straight up, I'm not gonna sugarcoat anything, I'm not gonna be afraid to tell you certain things, this is the truth, or this is how I experience it, and here you go. Also, in the beginning of the book, she does mention that this is not a beginner's guide. And I agree 110%. This is not a beginner's guide. I suggest that if you are a beginner and you want to learn the runes, to pick out other books that are beginner type books, where they give you basically the traditional and the standard understanding, or the standard meanings to the cards, for you to learn them and learn the basics. And then from there, you know, like as you start learning and as you start doing that, then move on to books like hers, which really go into the magic, the mystery, the really deep stuff that you have to really understand far, you know, like you need a lot of practice. You need to connect, not just by throwing them, but like by connecting like with source and whatnot. And it's really intense if you just, you know, you just bought your first runes and then just go out and do it, you know, and buy the book and just do everything she says. It might be a little bit intense, a little bit too much, a little too raw. Just saying. But if you've done like the basics and you've used runes for a good amount of time, this book is fantastic. I love it, especially if you want to get into more of the esoteric mysteries of runes. This is the book for you, hands down. So before I end this video, I want to ask a question, and that is, have you read this book? And if you have, leave down in the comment section what you think about it. Did you like it? Did you hate it? And if you haven't read this book, but you do have a favorite rune book, or a rune book that is like your go-to book, what book would that be? Leave that also down in the comment section. So that is it for this week's video. But if you guys are interested in purchasing the book, down in the information section, there's a Amazon link to the book. And don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification button so then you know when a new video is coming out. Other than that, much love and blessings.